Okay, everybody. So welcome to our webinar today. Today, we're going to tell the story of a digital transformation for a company much like yours. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. As we go through our conversation here, we're probably going to feel some questions come up. We'd ask that you put them in the chat. Use our Q&A feature of our webinar right here, and we'll address them as we go along or towards the end. Also know that you'll have an email coming into your inbox with just a little bit of information that we're asking, so we can send you a really nice gift pack as a way of saying thank you for attending, for your time. This session will be recorded, so feel free to share this once you get the recording with anybody in your organization who may be interested. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get started. First, we're going to present our panelists. We'll start with Colleen. Go ahead and unmute and tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here this morning. I've been very much looking forward to this conversation because I love talking about field service and all of our customers and the transformations that they've undergone. So a little bit about me. I'm a vice president in our Service Cloud business. I've been in Salesforce for about 8 years now, and I've had the privilege of working with many customers as they've navigated the waters of the change management, the digital transformation of moving to a field service tool. And it's been a great journey, and we're excited to share one of those stories today, which I won't give away who it is, but I will hand over the floor back. Thanks for having me, everyone.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Colleen. This is going to be a lot of fun. Next up, we have Camille.
Hey everybody, my name is Camille, and I'm responsible for the commercial side of the business here at Nubik. At Nubik, we're 120 people. We're dedicated to optimizing the processes and operations of our customers, leveraging the Salesforce platform, of course. We've been doing that since 2003, so that's a lot of digital transformation projects. Our customers, excuse me, and our employees are located a little bit everywhere across North America. Personally, I'm in beautiful Montreal today, so hence the French-Canadian accent that I'm sure you've all picked up on. But it's a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you for joining us.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Camille. And last but not least, we have Hannah. Hannah, can you introduce yourself a little bit to the people?
I am Hannah Harder. I currently do a little bit of everything for a home improvement company in Augusta, Georgia. I am very, very honored to be able to be a part of this and to kind of tell the story of the transformation that we experienced through what we're going to talk about.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Hannah. And a little bit of everything is kind of an understatement, as you'll see as we tell the story. Excellent. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this digital transformation, but first we're going to put it in some context for you. We want to understand the economics, the market a little bit, what's going on in the world that kind of has set up Hannah and of course some of you for perhaps being ready for a digital transformation. And to help us along with that, we've got Camille to set the stage for our story.
Sure. Thanks, Brandon. So as I mentioned before, we're Salesforce specialists, right? And a lot of our customers are providing services to home and business owners. So think heating and cooling experts, plumbers, roofing, home renovation, pool installation, lawn treatments, basically anyone that has, people on the road going from one customer to the next. And as I'm sure that everyone in this call knows, most of these companies are extremely busy these days. They were busy before the pandemic, but now it's next level. And it's most probably not going to slow down anytime soon. So let's take a look at why that is. So first of all, at a macro level, there's trillions of dollars in the infrastructure plan from President Biden, of which hundreds of millions are for housing improvements. And that means there's a lot of money available, right? At a more micro level, home values went up at record level. So it's up by on average 18% in just 1 year. So that's as per Zillow.com, which is a real estate marketplace. So as a result, many people are refinancing their homes, which means they have even more money available. With that money, people buy boats, townhouses, chalet, which means there's even more demand and more needs for home and business type of services. Another important factor to consider is that we are nearing full employment. Currently, the unemployment rate is below 5% nationwide. So that's important because as business owners and executives on this call, you know how hard it is to find and keep top talents. And when the unemployment rate is low, It means that people have options. Top talents are solicited every week, if not every day. So if you want to keep them, you better make sure that they're happy. Field technicians are often highly skilled people, and it takes months, if not years, to train them properly. So you can't afford to lose them and have a high turnover rate. And we know that employees that often, that do low value work or repetitive tasks are the ones that are most likely to want to change jobs. So one way of making sure your employees are efficient is by leveraging technology and providing modern, flexible tools to get the job done. Let's take a very simple example of a plumbing company that spends, 20 minutes at the end of each job, to prepare a manual invoice on a piece of paper, then call the head office and provide the credit card customer, the number, wait for an approval. That's not efficient. Now, if plumbing company 2 offers a digital experience and is efficient, well, guess what? The technicians will save time. And one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to be able to go home earlier, which is, they're going to be happier and that's perfect, or they're going to be able to do just one more customer visit during the day, which is going to have a significant impact on your bottom line. So that efficient company is going to attract the top technicians, who in turn are going to attract, top customers. So it's that simple. So to be able to keep up with the demand, to be able to meet and exceed your customers' high expectations, and to help ensure that you hire and retain the top talents in your industries, you must eliminate inefficiencies and have the right systems in place to do so. And that's where Salesforce and the field service solutions come into play.
All right. Good stuff. Thanks so much, Camille, for setting the stage for us like that. So next up, we're just going to talk to Colleen a little bit, kind of at high level. What does field service really offer to clients in that context, getting ready for that next level?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Camille. That was a great overview and really helps us set the stage of why this is so important and why these conversations and transformations are so relevant in the home services space. And Salesforce has been, partnering with home services companies for many years now. But what we found it started in 2016 when we launched a partnership with Click Software. That's when we really got a ton of feedback from our customers that we had a best in breed sales solution, best in breed service, marketing, but they wanted to extend that out to the technicians, because for many customers, the technician, that is the face of their brand. That's going into the homes, that's going and building that connection with the end consumers. And that's where the loyalty really happens. So Salesforce heard our customers. We partnered with best in breed Click Software. It became our fastest growing product. We had such great feedback from customers. Then we went on to acquire Click Software and then have now moved into the Magic Quadrant for our field service solution, which is a testament to the success that our customers are having on our solution. If I could boil it down to what are the three main things that Salesforce offers, it's connecting your teams, it's your sales teams, it's your service teams, it's the installers, it's the break fix technicians, it's the those who are doing maintenance work, who are doing warranty repairs, it's the billing teams, the finance teams. I could go on and on because it's all of the teams throughout your customer lifecycle that are on one platform. And then it's optimizing those resources. We know that utilization is key. The more utilization that you can get from each resources, the faster you can grow your company and the more meaningful that work will be for your technicians. You want to use the best of their resources and their time so they're doing meaningful work that requires their skill and expertise. And lastly, that all leads to delighting your customers. That's how you differentiate. There are many different, products that are, some are becoming a commodity, right? But it's the service, it's the experience that you give your customers that helps you differentiate from the pack. And that's really what Salesforce offers. I can think of no better story than the Southern Siding story and Hannah and everything that they've done to really bring that to life. So I would love to hand it over so we can dive into their transformation story. There's a ton that we can all learn and be inspired by. So I will hand it off to Hannah.
Excellent. And just before we get started with this story, we want to kind of say enough about us. We want to know about you. We're going to put a polling question up there just to get a sense of where you guys are all at. So here you'll see on your screen a polling question. Just take a couple seconds and just give us some idea of where you guys are. What brought you here? What would you like to get out of this? And that will help us really make sure that we're giving you what you came for. And once we get some of those results, we'll show them up on the screen, and then we'll dive into our story. But thanks, guys, for setting that up. You know, we can see that the market's hot, as Camille said, and we can see that Colleen's team really offers you guys the ability to connect your team, offers you the ability to give everybody really meaningful work, give everybody to do the thing that they love to do and get rid of some of that burden, and to delight those customers. You'll be interacting with a lot of people for the first time. Let's leave that really good first impression. All right. So I think we've got most of our poll responses. Do we want to put them up? Do you want to put them up, or should we just dive right in? Oh, there we go. Nice. All right. So just kind of looking at the audience, just quickly taking a look at what people are most interested in, is we want to hear some more examples and use cases before moving forward with Salesforce Field Service. Well, you've come to the right place. We've got a real live one here and a heck of a journey, as told by Hannah. And I want to learn more generally about Salesforce Field Service. Right on. So that's great. We're going to learn from a really concrete, specific example exactly what that brought to Hannah's team. So I think we've got a pretty good idea of what the people want. So without further ado, let's give the people what they want. All right, Hannah, thanks so much for joining us, by the way. We love your story, and it's really great to share that with the team. Can you tell us a little bit about Southern Siding?
Southern Siding is one of the largest home improvement companies in the southeastern United States. We span 5 states, 12 cities. We have 19 separate companies. We have a wholesale division as well as our bread and butter, which is gutters, windows, siding, roofing, any kind of remodeling project that you can do to your home. So we have a very large reach, a lot of employees, and we're doing the best that we know how to do every day.
Excellent. You can tell as Camille was introducing the context, you know, here's what the market looks like. Hannah was just kind of, yep, she felt that the demand is high, people are invested. So, and that's very exciting from a financial perspective, but it's also a little, there's a little stress involved with that. So we're going to kind of see how Hannah managed that. I'm thinking maybe we could start with Hannah, the before picture, paying particular attention to the packets.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, you say the word the packets and everybody
Ooh,
shivers a little bit.
yeah, it's a little bit of a PTSD with the packet. Okay, so the before picture was, if you can imagine, everybody on their own island, everybody doing their own process, and somehow in spite of that, still fairly successful. Lots and lots of paper. So when we talk about the packets, we talk about we are an in-home sales company. And what that means is that a lot of different hands touch the same job. It starts with a marketing person taking the lead, maybe in a store, maybe on the internet, but then it goes to a sales rep who has a sales packet, right? And those sales packets include things that are in triplicate because the customer needs a copy of it. Then that goes to our finance department that now needs a whole separate set of paperwork. They make copies of the production documents to go to our production departments. Depending on how many products there are, you might need 3 production documents for each individual crew. So the packets, as we refer to it, was the job information that needed to go to 7 different departments and 7 different people. And it was all paper. Prior to that, we were running on an Access 92 platform as far as what was going into the computer and doing remote desktops to one desktop. So that's what it looked like. It looked like a 1990s company that did really, really well and just try to figure out what to do from moment to moment.
Excellent. So that, that probably is ringing true with a lot of us. I know Colleen and I are both kind of nodding. Yes, this is the story we've heard. I love that. Islands, we're siloed. We're off in our own worlds. We're not as connected. And I loved what Colleen said about that. Our job is first to kind of connect all your different departments. So that's great. So we needed some way to streamline the data so everybody had the information. Lots of different hands touching the same job. So we need to get that information across very quickly. One thing we talked about is kind of what made you want to change, right? I mean, I know what the before picture is, but there are two ways to change: little band-aids and then kind of the big leap. Can you talk a little bit about what the difference between the band-aids and the big leap?
So we had been doing Band-Aids since 1997, which was the last update that we had done to the Access 1992 platform we were built on. And essentially all it was it was a note taker in a remote desktop. So you were actively logging in to a computer that was in a server room across the hall from my office. And that's where the creator was. And this system took us so far, but it hadn't been updated since 1997. And even Microsoft was like, ooh, that's old. We are not going to back that up anymore. So at that point, we had to figure out, what are we going to do now? Are we going to essentially build it on a new access, which requires a ton of work and really isn't going to take us any farther than we've been, or are we going to continue to grow? And
Like
that was when the CRMs started coming into the picture, the cloud-based services that weren't contained on a server. And so that was kind of the jumping off point that led us down the path to Salesforce.
That's great. So all respect to the homegrown systems, but it's time to kind of jump into something new and to stop putting little band-aids on the thing that you've been using for 20 years, or 20 plus years, and let's kind of get into something new. Hannah, can you tell us a little bit about what attracted you to Salesforce and field service in particular?
Salesforce, of course, the reputation of Salesforce, the ability to where you start with Salesforce is always going to be leaps and bounds from where you are, especially in our situation. But there's no end to where you can build Salesforce, right? So there's never a point in which it's just done and it's going to age out, right? It's always going to grow with you and it's always going to be customized with you. So that was really the selling point. The other selling point was our accountants were very, very active in the process of selecting it, because accounting plays such an important role, especially in a job costing organization like an in-home services. So accounting was really integral, and they liked the way that Salesforce spoke to the different accounting softwares, but especially to Financial Force.
That's right. One that's really part of the same ecosystem,
Right.
which is a really nice advantage there. Well, that's great. So we've got a pretty good idea of what brought you in. The reputation, the interconnectivity, the finance and accounting team was really instrumental in that. And of course, to what Colleen said, we've got to get all the way out to the front lines. We've got to bring them into the picture. So it sounds like that's kind of what led you there. Now, a lot of people in our audience right now are kind of right on the edge of making that jump, right about to jump off. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened right after you committed and signed with Salesforce and Nubik?
So when you commit to a project that's going to impact as many lives as this was going to, and you can't say it impacts our jobs, because it doesn't. We spend so much time at work and so much time helping our customers, right? We know that there's really not an off switch. And in that particular organization, or that particular in-home sales type work, you make the commitment, but you have a foundation that the company was built on. If it's a home improvement company, especially, that is in existence and has a good reputation, it's been around for a while. And so within organizations like that, you have the people where the toughest question to answer is why. Why? We've come this far. We've gotten to this point. We are the most successful. Why? Why change what's working? And so what you have to establish is, you're right, it's working, but how much better could we be? how much more enjoyment would our employees have at their jobs if they were able to do what they love to do. So you have to really weigh when you've got the packets, for example. That was one of our big discussions was everything's working. Why change?
Mm-hmm.
So the packets came into play, and you had one side of the aisle that loves the packets, right? They have their hand on a piece of paper. They can take notes. They can write things out when they're talking to the customers. They can hand it to the crews. And then you have the people on the other side of the aisle saying, we spoke to the customer and we had no idea what to tell them because those notes were handwritten on your packet.
Yeah.
That never made it back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was just one example that we were able to name. Like, yes, it's working, but how much better would it work if we were all communicating in real time to each other instead of just to the customer one at a time?
Excellent. Well, that's great. So what we've heard there is, really that interconnectivity. Yeah, it's on your packet, but it's not getting around. And what's really nice is what Hannah's offering here is that we've got to have that vision of what it could be. Yes, we know it's working, but what could it be? And I found in Hannah's story, there was a lot of courage around let's really imagine what this could be and let's really take that leap. But what also is nice about Hannah's story is that we looked at the people who were a little nervous about the change and we addressed them and we brought them in. We didn't push them out and impose the system. We brought them in. And I think that was a really strong point. Hannah, upon making the leap, did you feel like you were just kind of left all on your own? All right, good luck with your digital transformation. Or did you feel like you had some partners and leaders in this? He says leading.
Oh,
weakness.
no, it was, if you had left us on an island to our own devices, we would still be carving sticks and, trying to make fire. So no, once we made the switch, at that point, you had to identify the players that were going to be agents of change, the players that were going to understand where this could take us, right? Not to resent where we were, but to build upon it. And so you had to have the people that understood our organization, right? We had all of those.
Mm-hmm.
We had nobody that understood Salesforce, right? That's not what we do. We do home improvement. We don't do Salesforce. So now we need a partner. Now we need somebody to come in and help us identify what we don't know is wrong because it can be better. And so at that point, we brought in Nubik. We brought in, I think there was one other company that we spoke to briefly, and it just, the partner that you pick once you've made that commitment, you have to look at them as the backbone of your commitment because you don't know what you're committing to yet. And so when Nubik came in and the partners that we had to make it successful came in, we were able to be courageous in our ability to change things. We were able to stand tall and say, how can we help? What can we do? Because we had the people that knew the most standing right behind us saying, yep, that's right. That's right. It's going to make it better. We're going to do this. We're going to build it.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks so much, Hannah. Camille, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. What does Nubik and what does the Salesforce team like to add to a customer that really knows their business? That home improvement, you guys got that down. What do we add to that, the implementers?
No, that's a very good question. So essentially, it all starts with understanding your organization. So as an implementation partner, we're committed to the success of our customers. And when we went into Southern Siding, it's like a blank page at the beginning, but all of a sudden you start putting in words, and the story, is not that much different than a lot of the other customers that we have, right? So everybody's on their own reality, thinking that we're really isolated and nobody else will understand what we do. But the truth is, for most people that are with us today, I'm sure when you refer to the packets, they may call it something else, or they're seeing the same challenges. So that's where we come in, and really there's a process to making sure that we are successful and that we are bringing value to the organization as soon as possible, because it's really a journey, right? It's a digital transformation journey. So it really starts by understanding how you guys are operating today, but not too much focus on that, really focus on where we're going and bringing in best practices and then challenging each other And that's what it is. There's a lot of change management in there, and every organization is different. It all depends where you're starting from. But in the case of Southern Siding, starting from a very old, system, there was so much improvement that we were able to bring to the table very quickly.
That's great, Camille. So it sounds like what we've got here is when you choose that partner, whoever that partner is, this person's going to guide you, maybe exhibit those great leadership skills that we all develop. And part of great leadership is listening. Step one, you got to listen. You got to know who your client, who your customer is. And you know that a lot of the answers are right there in that customer's organization. We got to bring those up to the surface, and those concerns, got to bring them up, and we've got a guide. And I know anyone who's spoken to Colleen for any length of time knows that she's very passionate, and her team is very passionate about getting to know those customers and understand them, and constantly using that understanding to kind of improve the way we do things. So that sounds like that worked out pretty well. Anything else to add, guys, on just kind of that first step?
Yeah, if I may, I would say one of the keys that we see to successful transformations is not only doing that deep discovery and listening, but then quantifying the value that perhaps, revenue leakage, that you're not billing for everything, or you're sending a technician in the most inefficient route, or you're rolling a truck, 2-3 times to solve an issue. There are huge dollar savings and also dollar rewards that you can make by having a better system. And we find that we need to cost justify the implementation. And that's something that, a good partner will certainly help you do. And the best way to build that value case is for it to be collaborative. There's going to be many iterations of making sure everyone believes that this is the value, this is the guiding force of this project. So we can all hold each other accountable to achieving the success. When things go a little sideways in a project, you got to go back to your North Star. This is why we're doing it. It's to get this result. It's to get, this vision of being the best that we can be. So that is certainly a key piece that I would highly recommend everyone does in their transformation.
That's great. Hey, thanks so much, Colleen. I know, we are all very honest. A digital transformation is not easy, right? But getting that right partner, those experts from Colleen's team, from your implementation partner like Nubik, those are the people who will listen, quantify, and really guide you along that journey. And you're going to hear the word journey a lot here, because it's not a start and an end. It keeps moving, because everybody knows your business and the market keeps changing. So that's great. So thanks for teeing that up. We now know the before picture. We know what we had to do to kick this thing off, to get started. We knew that we didn't leave Hannah alone on her island to rub sticks together to try to build a fire. So I just want to take a quick minute to remind folks, as you're hearing the story, if you've got questions, let's put them up in the Q&A section. We've got people kind of looking at that who can guide us and making sure we're really getting you guys the information that you want out of this. All right, having said that, we can now kind of dive in a little bit into the what did we actually do? So maybe we'll start, Hannah, who were the teams involved? Who really got pulled in across the lifespan of this project?
Well, when we got started, we actually we had just hired a man who he was an accountant, but he was also very, very good at managing projects.
Okay.
So he came in, and bless his heart, he learned how we did things at the exact same time that he was having to help us select a CRM. That was kind of the project that they put on him to start with. So he learned 2 new languages simultaneously.
Nice.
And started the selection process. So when he did that, of course, we had a leadership team, and all of the leadership team was brought in. So you had the VP of sales, the VP of marketing, you had the operations director, all of the umbrellas within the company to help with the processes. They came in and they saw it. Now, when you're talking about those members, you're also talking about the people that are the why askers, right?
Mhm.
It's working, it's doing well. Why are we doing this? So they came in, and then I was a part of it just because it kind of became a running joke that I was the translator. And so what I could do was I could speak accounting and production at the same time to kind of align. I could speak sales and marketing at the same time to help them align. And so we had this team that came in, and then those leaders went out to kind of to the masses. What are your issues? What would you like to see? What do you hate in our current CRM? You know, and then it was also explaining what a CRM was to people, because it's just what we take notes on.
Right.
And so we kind of put this team together that was going to be the team that would involve the entire company in it,
That's
but to
great.
streamline it so that it wasn't so loud.
I love it. You've got translators who are speaking technology and accounting and production and maintenance. You've brought in your leadership team. You've got to get buy-in from them. I'm now stealing the phrase "why asker" because that is what we deal with a lot. Hey, you've got to have that vision if you're going to invest in this change. I heard sales and marketing was involved, installers, and the service or maintenance people. So that's good. We really brought in everybody. And one thing that you'll keep hearing from Hannah and from Colleen is that we go to the front lines, right? We're not sitting at our desks and thinking about how we're going to change this. We go to the front line and say, this is going to affect you. How do we bring you in rather than imposing this onto you? So that's that seems like that was a huge success factor for Southern Siding. All right. So right now we're seeing that Southern Siding, having implemented this process, is starting to kind of gain some traction. Can you talk a little bit about what you got out of all this?
We did a couple of different big things that I can talk about, but what that will overshadow is all of the daily wins, right? You have a W column, and that's what you want. You want that W column to just fill up. And the day-to-day wins are where that's where the rubber meets the road. But we were able to do some large things because of those little wins.
Awesome.
We started a corporate customer care center. I headed it up because I, at that point, knew the most about Salesforce and how to turn our company from a sales and marketing company to a service company. We really focused on that. That was one of the main things that we did. So at this point, we could start something because the notes for the customer weren't handwritten on a piece of paper in somebody's office. We could share the information across all of the companies. So if the customer called a wrong number or got transferred to a wrong person, there was nobody that couldn't help. Which also increases the accountability factor, right? We all have those people at the company that the lack of tracking movements has led to their success. And it's created deficits where there's training needs, right? We lose touch with our employees as well. And what this has done is it's allowed us to help the customers, but it's allowed us to help our employees as well, because now you can track individual movements in order to help people that you didn't otherwise if were struggling. So it's really kind of encompassed everything that every hole that we needed to fill.
That sounds great, Hannah. So to kind of sum that up, we again are breaking down the silos, we're breaking down the islands, we're getting more visibility everywhere. And it sounds like you're getting that visibility in real time, meaning it's not 3 months after a job that you learn about it, it's right then.
That was a big deal for our labor commission material reports. We were getting those. So ideally, in a perfect world, you want them within a week of the close of the month before. We were getting them 3, 4, 5 months later because you have a completely overworked accounting department trying to sort through paper and find every bill for the jobs that could be contained within different packets for the same job, every missing statement, anything like that. And so to job cost, you have to break those down. And that takes for paper files, it takes a very human element to it. So you had a large department with a large overhead, just constantly breaking down jobs. And it was, quite frankly, it was putting us behind on our reporting. So you find out 3 months after the fact that a particular rep with a particular kind of job doesn't know how to sell it. Well, now you have 3 months worth of jobs that have built up. So you're 3 months out from solving that problem. And on a great day, you're 3 months out if you get them trained today.
if they're looking at it right away. Yeah.
Right. And so Salesforce, it's real time. The job closes out, the system is breaking it down, everything is in, everything is working together. That job closes out within a week, you have a full report, and you are able to solve sales issues, marketing issues, labor issues in real time because you are seeing it come through in real time.
That's great. When it comes to the what did Southern Siding do? That actually is one of my favorite high points. I don't know if you have another favorite high point, Hannah, but it sounds like because we're getting this information, number one, across the different silos we're breaking down the silos. So we're going from sales to service, to the materials, acquisition, etc. Everybody's speaking very quickly and understanding things very quickly. But more than that, we're using that information to drive profitability. Hey, this job didn't go so great. Sales, service, get together, talk, figure out how we can make this job go better. And instead of waiting at best 3 months to sell 3 months worth of problematic jobs, you solve it right now. And now you've gained that 3 months. And in that next 3 months, those jobs are going to get better and better and better. How'd I do, Hannah? Is that pretty much it?
Perfect.
Pretty good. And if I may, Brendan, I'd like to add on the profitability play because it's something that we see so often. A lot of the home and business services company, like you guys know, you're hopefully you're making money, right? At the end of the month, at the end of each month, you're making money, you're profitable, but most companies don't really know the job, that we did last Tuesday where we sent John and Tony on and they spent 6 hours at a customer site. Did we make money on that job or did we lose money on that? Like, should we focus on, I don't know, should we focus on a specific line of business that is more profitable? Because these big projects, I mean, they're high numbers, that's good, but maybe we're just breaking even, or even worse, maybe we're losing money on these specific type of jobs. A lot of companies in that type of industry don't have that granularity and can't really tell where they're making money and more importantly, where they're losing money so that they can address it and fix it. So.
That's great. And to something that Colleen had said earlier, she's very focused on where you're losing or leaking a little bit of revenue and where your profitability is lagging. So between her team's expertise and your implementation partner, and just seeking out that information that's already there, we start to patch those up a bit, start to get an idea in real time. And Hannah also mentioned something else. So we know what kinds of jobs we should be chasing after, like what Camille said. This category of job is really profitable. Hannah mentioned a great one, which I want to make sure we don't jump over. If we're really getting that information flowing well, we can see particular employees, see what they're struggling with. And we can kind of bring it up with them in a really constructive way in real time. So we can kind of get those training issues addressed. How'd I do, Hannah? Is that about right?
Perfect.
Excellent. And then we have this commission report that you're talking about. Can you tell us just a little bit about what exactly that is? I cannot understand what we got out of it, but what actually is that?
So the labor commission materials report basically breaks the job down by what did you spend on the physical material to do the job? What did you pay for labor? What did we pay for commission, marketing, advertising budgets, things of that
Cost of
nature.
getting that job, yeah.
Right. The lights being on, the administrative staff, like what did we spend? So it kind of breaks it down. It's not as granular as like a profit and loss report, but it is by the job. So you can see here are all of your gutter jobs. Or you could break it down and have it differently. Here are all of this particular sales reps jobs. Here are all of this particular installers jobs. And you can see how they broke down based on, okay, this job, we know that this particular product, we want this profit line. Why didn't we hit it on this job? Was it the labor, the material, or the commission? Was it the advertising? Was it this? If it was the labor, what's the problem? Well, there was extra work that needed to be done. Okay, so this just became a sales issue, right? So you can really drill down. Once you can see the overall picture, you can drill down to the problem areas, and that's what that report gives us. So to have that report in real time, you have to think about what you were talking earlier about employee retention. What do you think is going to happen to a sales rep when he finds out 3 months down the road that he has been selling all of his jobs for the wrong dollar amount, and now he is 3 months away from getting a back end? How do you tell a sales rep that? How do you keep a sales rep when he finds out that he's been doing it wrong because of a lack of training?
That's
Right? Same for an installer. You send an installer back on a service, right? This window was not installed correctly. Well, he just did 3 months of those jobs. So how do you keep an employee when they know that their shortcoming wasn't caught in time to help them succeed?
I love that.
So it helps everybody to have that tracking in real time, and that particular report helps you to help those that need help.
That's awesome. And so what I've heard from Hannah, Camille, and Colleen is that we're putting people first, right? This isn't a machine that just runs your business for you. This looks at individual people and says, how do we help you enjoy your job more? That's important. Skilled people, you got to retain them and keep them really motivated and happy and fulfilled. But I saw 3 things that that Hannah talked about. Did we sell this job properly? Did we get their clients' expectations done right and get this costed up front right? Were our services right? Is there a person who needs a little bit of training, a little bit of work on how to do the services a little bit more efficiently? And number 3, I heard materials. Did we have the right materials at the right time, at the right place, and for the right cost? Hannah, are those the big 3, or is there something else that I missed?
Those are the big ones.
Excellent. We getting those in real time, so we can really, kind of get that lead time. Colleen, Camille, anything to add to that? That seems like a pretty good picture to me. Yeah, awesome. We got a question from the audience here, Hannah. We'll just switch gears a little bit. We talked a bit about job costing and so on, and so we've got David asking, is there any other third-party applications that you're using along with Salesforce? His example was an in-home estimating software. Do you guys use anything in the after picture? Do you guys use anything extra like that?
No, we do our quoting in the system. It builds our quote. We programmed price books in. So we do everything from start to finish within Salesforce. The only outside service that I believe we use, and I know Nubik would be able to help me with that, but we do use Conga to help with the digital signatures. So we have that, but everything else is contained within the system.
This is it. And just for those of you who aren't quite as familiar with the Salesforce world, Conga really is part of that Salesforce kind of ecosystem. Yes, it has a separate name, but it is so deep in the DNA of Salesforce that, is it a third party? Well,
that's
really.
why I was sitting there going, I don't really know if it's third party or if it's, but no, everything else is, everything is contained within Salesforce down to the quoting. And that's helped us to streamline pricing as well. We can correct it in real time.
That's great. So David, it sounds like we hit most of what you wanted to hear, but I actually would like to know more about that initial kind of quoting and pricing experience. If I'm the customer, someone comes to my house, usually you're mostly residential, and says, I'd like this done. Can you tell me a little bit about what happens in that kind of quoting and pricing in terms of the client experience, customer experience?
Well, the client experience is now, it's obviously a little more digital than it was. We did have tablets that we used. Obviously, a customer is not going to go up and look inside their gutters with us, right? The majority of the people are calling us out there to look at their gutters because they can't go up there to look at them.
Yeah.
So we had tablets to be able to record videos. Most of our guys used smartphones prior to all of this, and they would just record a video to show our customers. So when we went to Salesforce, all of a sudden it was not, let me go out to the car and price this out and look at these paper price sheets and look at this and try to, now it's okay. We talked about the soffit and fascia being done. Okay, that's going to be done prior to the gutters. We talked about the gutters being done. We're going to do the one with our topper system. It's our premium product. This is what you can expect to see, right? We have built videos into the system so that they can see the product actually working when they're selling it. But all of their paperwork, the flip side to that is that everything that they're doing on the tablet is emailed to them immediately upon sign, and they get a ding on their phone.
Excellent.
So
I think
they have their paperwork.
That's great. So I think Colleen's nodding along. She's like, yes, this customer experience up in the front is a big selling point. Is that right, Colleen?
Yes, this is what our customers want. I mean, they think about how you engage with, consumer applications. You get that, you buy something, you get that instant receipt. Customers want that when they're buying, from businesses that they engage with. And especially, many of these are big purchases for them. So they say, if I can see my Domino's pizza and get the, instant receipt, and get all those details, why can't I have my new roofing, my new siding? And so this is just such a huge success that you can give to your customers, is that real-time visibility and instant feedback on the receipt, the work done. It's great.
That's awesome. It feels to me, so I'm a little naive on this, so feel free to shut me down if this is not right. But if I'm a customer and someone comes in and it is just, really smooth, they've got a video demonstration. Here's what we're going to sell you. That price comes right back. Nobody's flipping through books, things like that. It feels like I, as the customer, would have a kind of a better first impression of you guys. Am I speaking out of turn, or is that about right?
No, that's right. It gives a legitimacy to a company in today's age.
That's it. A little better first impression there.
Hey, and maybe so David was asking a further question, if this is achieved through Salesforce CPQ, configure pricing and quoting, or through field service. Without going into too much of the weeds on this call, just to say this is done directly within the Sales Cloud, specifically for Southern Siding. This is directly in Sales Cloud. So, but everything is captured, images, pictures, whatever, directly during the sales cycle to kind of tie that back. The sales process is drastically changed over at Southern Siding because all the information is centralized on the platform. So from the sales to essentially the installer, they know exactly what to expect. The installation team, they used to go in blind, like, okay, we've got this job to do. Hopefully, it's going to be an easy one and there's not going to be any surprises. Now they can just look at the job and they see the pictures. They know exactly what's waiting for them. So it's helping a lot.
The ability to upload photos and videos directly to Salesforce has also been a game changer when you're talking about the crews knowing what they're going into. The crews can see the same videos that we showed to the customer, but they also see the same videos that our measure technician took when they took photos and videos and drew the measurements on the photos. So it is an absolute game changer.
This is it. And it sounds like it's getting your clients better service because everybody knows what they're getting into. You can schedule and plan a little bit better, and it's a better quality of life. Your guys aren't going to suddenly have a surprise. They know what they're getting into, for the most part. So that's great. So we've heard a couple things. First, we've heard about that quoting and pricing, that initial impression with the customer. So we get a good agreement on what we're buying, what we're selling, and what's going to happen. We've also talked about that profitability check. So we really know in real time how things are going. It sounds like some of the other elements that you guys have hit is somewhat in managing your documents, and also a little bit about payments. Can you talk about either of those, Hannah? Document management, payment management, that you thought were kind of big changes or big improvements for you guys?
Well, the document management really goes back to those packets. That's the packets. That's where the document management came into play more than anything. It was that now everybody was seeing the same information because it's contained in the same place, and that's where everybody is going. As far as payments, we were able to streamline that a lot because we elected to go with Financial Force, which was kind of a secondary process, but we went with Financial Force because of the way that it communicates with Salesforce, where you really don't know which one is working at any given point. If it's done correctly, they're really just going side by side. And the only difference that you might see is from one profile to a next, who has access to see the information and who doesn't. When you're in both sides and you see it happening flawlessly, that the payment is recorded at the same time that it's being made. It is the information that is contained in it, and that feeds back to the real-time reporting. It's been an absolute shift when you're talking about paper. I don't even know where to begin with that. And I'm imagining that there are a lot of companies on right now that now that they're starting to actually visualize how much paper is sitting on their desk, is flowing through their office, is coming in. When you actually start to take inventory of the amount of paper, I can't come look at our office now versus August 1st of 2 years ago, and it's different.
That's
We're no longer a fire hazard for one.
That's our new thing. We're going to take pictures of the packets and the files next time as a before picture. That's great. So we have a question from the audience, and I think that it really flows naturally to what we were just talking about. And so this person is asking, how were you able to manage the process from the moment the project is closed or signed to getting it billed and invoiced? And the second question is, when technicians are on the way, are your customers alerted automatically, or is that option possible? So that's kind of the question in its entirety, but let's kind of break it down. I think what we've heard from Hannah is that getting the job closed first, even before the job is closed, you've got that estimation process really professionalized, streamlined, and carefully recorded. We see the before picture in the client's home. Can you talk a little bit more about the rest of the project life cycle?
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to get into the weeds. I'm really good at getting into the weeds on this. So, but to just really streamline it, the life cycle is it goes from department to department at that point, and it is running more seamlessly through those departments because the information that's being shared is the same information. It's in the same spot. I cannot drive that home enough.
Yeah.
So the next step is all of a sudden the paperwork has been uploaded remotely. The job is done. Our finance department is now reaching out to the customer. I just saw your paperwork come through. I just saw this job. So the customer is hearing their name, which they love, and they're hearing, we know you exist and we're here to help you. Here's another voice from our company in real time.
And we're connected. You met our sales guy. Now you're meeting our finance.
Right. This isn't some chuck in a truck who's trying to sell you stuff out of his garage. Like, this is Merle with our finance department.
Mm-hmm.
And it plays through those departments seamlessly from there because the finance department puts their notes in and down the line it goes, right? There is no paperwork to make copies of and hope that you have the same copy as everyone else. It's right there. So it goes to our production department. Then it goes to our customer care department, who's making phone calls every 2 weeks to the customer that's automatically programmed to feed to that individual. So we can keep our customers updated in real time. No, your material still isn't here, but I do see that the load date is still da 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 da.
That's huge. That actually gets to this person's question. Are your when your technicians are on the way, are your customers alerted automatically? Are there other options possible? But there's something even kind of before that. All right, when we're getting your materials, or when, God forbid, there's a delay, we're already keeping the client in the loop. So the client's already in the loop that way.
Absolutely. Cool. We called it the customer care program. We have a customer care department and a customer care program. And those touch every single office. So we had phone calls that are programmed. The next stage, right? It's a journey. So we're working through stages. The first stage was to get the human interaction, which was through the phone calls, and that alerts like a task. The next stage is going to be automated emails and text messages, right? We weren't able to get a hold of you, but this is the update. Please give us a call at this number if you have any questions. And then the next step in the process is more of a platform where they will be able to actually check the status of their job on their own without having to talk to somebody if they don't want to. So the journey, first step is customer satisfaction, and then second step is to step up from there.
Oh, I love it. That's great. It sounds like, we originally started talking about how your teams are all interconnected, but now we're bringing the client into that. They're getting constant updates about what's going well. Hey, we missed you. Let's get that communication streamlined. That customer care portal really seems like that's a pretty key success factor for you.
Yes. And to speak to the other part of the question, are they notified when the technicians are on their way?
Yes.
That is something that we are working to add. We are currently working on, we like to get a bio of our technicians in the field, but also a bio of our sales reps, a bio of really anybody that's going to come face to face with the customer so that they know who they're talking about. But then also in the automated, I can't get that word right today, texting to let them know that, that your technician is on the way. Click here for a photo and brief bio. They should arrive within 15 minutes. There's no stopping Salesforce once you figure out the apps that can be added and the customizations that can be done. Those are all things that we're working on now that we've gotten in and gotten really excited about it.
Awesome. Well, guys, it's a time check. I mean, time flies when you're having fun. We're down to the last 3 minutes here. So of course, if there are any questions, let's make sure we get them in now. But I think what we've heard so far is that we've got a customer facing experience that is really amplified. This customer is really brought into the process. We've got a team that's integrated. We've got our documents that are managed. We've got our payments tracked. We've got a knowledge of profitability of our jobs in something like real time. So I think those are kind of the big ones that we've got. I think other things that we got is we got a phased approach for this big transformation, right? We're doing it one bite at a time. Earlier at the beginning, Hannah started off with the small wins column. And I love that because, with our clients, and Colleen's nodding along, she loves these too. All right, listen, we don't have to completely revolutionize your whole business in one shot. We're going to take small wins, those real high value, quick wins, and we're going to get you those, get everybody's appetite. Okay, we can see this vision a little bit more. And that's that. Any last comments from any of you guys before we kind of wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to say quickly, this is a great, success story and, testimony to the fantastic relationship that Southern Siding, Salesforce, and Nubik we have. I just want to say we could have never done it without the involvement of Hannah and the entire team over at Southern Siding, because this is over and above technology. It's really human interactions, and you guys were fantastic and are fully embracing the platform. So that's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's great. So guys, everybody, audience, thank you so much for your time. Hannah, big thanks to you. This has been amazing. Remember, for those of you who are attending, this has been recorded so you can share it. We have a great gift for you from Salesforce and Nubik. You'll be getting an email asking a little bit about where we can send this gift. So be sure you look and respond to that. There will be a link for the recording and some of our key insights, etc. There will also be a big production video of Southern Siding for you to look at. So if there's nothing else from our panel, I just want to say thank you to everybody for your time. And we'll look forward to hearing from you in the not too distant future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
everyone. Great spending the time with you.
Mm-hmm.